When we talk about the civil rights movement, most people are taught one story: marches, sit-ins, songs, and a code of strict nonviolence. That picture is very real and very important, but it's not the whole story. Here's the question almost no one seems to ask: who protected people when local law enforcement refused to? When the police stood by, or worse, were the ones actively doing the violence, black communities didn't just pray and hope, they organized to defend and protect themselves. One of the most documented examples is the Deacons for Defense and Justice. This group was founded in 1964 in Jonesboro, Louisiana, by black veterans who had fought in both World War II and the Korean War. They formed not to start fights or to incite violence, but to protect civil rights activists, families, and entire communities from repeated attacks by the KKK and other white supremacists at a time when local police often did nothing to stop violence. The Deacons didn't hide or act in secret. They carried arms openly as a deterrent. They guarded meetings and they escorted protesters during voting rights and desegregation campaigns when authorities refused to protect them. These chapters spread across all sorts of small rural towns throughout places, especially in Louisiana, where police and county officials were closely tied to the Klan and offered very little safety for black residents. This wasn't an isolated quirk. Black self-defense blended into parts of the movement in other cities too. Groups or individuals armed themselves to protect their communities when violence was constant and the legal system offered no protection. One of the sometimes most controversial figures in this history was Robert F. Williams, who was president of the NAACP chapter in Monroe, North Carolina. Facing repeated attacks and with no reliable police protection, Williams publicly argued that black people had the right to defend themselves when local law enforcement would not. He formed a rifle club chartered through the National Rifle Association to protect black citizens from KKK attacks. Williams' book, Negroes with Guns, published in 1962, explained this position. He wrote that when the state fails to protect people from organized racial terror, defending one's life is not just understandable, it's a basic human right. That text later influenced other activists, including the founders of the Black Panther Party. Importantly, major civil rights organizations didn't universally endorse armed self-defense. The NAACP national leadership distanced itself from Williams' tactics, and figures like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. remained committed to nonviolence as a strategic and moral choice. But nonviolence was never a protection guarantee, it was simply a strategy. When police abandoned their duty, armed self-defense became a survival strategy as well. These defenders didn't seek violence, they responded to real, documented, repeated threats that the state wouldn't stop. So when someone says the civil rights movement was purely nonviolent, that's really only part of the truth. Nonviolence was a central core, but people also defended themselves when the law failed them. Erasing that piece of history doesn't honor the movement, it obscures how dangerous it actually was for those who lived it. I'll see you tomorrow.